Hi everyone. Thank you for clicking on the video as always. Friday morning, April 25th. Beautiful morning. If you can see in the background, plenty of blue sky, a little bit of a breeze. Frosty morning though. We definitely had a frost this morning. I wouldn't call it a hard freeze, but frost nonetheless. This whole week has been nice. Definitely not as warm as last week, but still very nice considering it's still only April. Generally we're around 10 to let's say 12 degrees during the day and nearly freezing most of the nights, but nice week. That's about normal for this time of year. What's not normal is the beautiful blue sky and the lack of rain, but it's been wonderful. Coming up this weekend, in fact tomorrow and Sunday, they are forecasting a hard freeze, so we're gonna have to scramble and cover up a few things in the yard and garden. But again, that's all normal until you get into about May 10th. You know, you can expect to still get some frosts and possibly some hard freezes here. And just to continue with the topic of weather, you know, to go all the way back to winter, this past winter was, you know, okay by my standards. We definitely had some snow, we had a bit of cold. I would have preferred a little bit more snow and a little bit more cold, but no complaints. But as far as this spring, it has been by far the nicest spring I've ever seen in Lithuania. I've been here a number of years now, so not only because of the really warm or summer-like weather we've had recently, because we've had some cool spring-like weather. I mean, as recently as April 10th, we had snow showers, but what we haven't had this spring is that just non-stop rain and wind that sometimes goes on for days or even weeks here. It's been wonderful. A little bit dry, you know, again, always find something to complain about. Could use a little bit of rain, but I'll take it. Very nice spring. Again, I'm looking at a list, a lot of updates to give you guys. Little update on my back. I'm still not back completely to normal, but every day is an improvement. I'm able to do pretty much everything I need to do at this point. You know, some things I just got to take my time, or I did some trimming. I think yesterday I took a couple more breaks that I normally take, but hopefully that's the last update I need to give you on my back. You guys won't hear anything more about that, but that was awful. I have newfound respect and sympathy for any of you that have ongoing back pain or just live with it all the time, if you can call that living. It's no good. This week's video is going to be, again, as usual, kind of a mix of different topics and things. What I do want to talk about, the main segment, is I want to talk about my home in northern Wisconsin, or more to the point, where I grew up. You know, the term home can mean a lot of things to different people. To me, it doesn't mean an actual structure or a house. A home is just somewhere where you live and you call home. You can look at it how you want. Home is where the heart is. But you know, I spent the first 20 years of my life in northern Wisconsin. I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in the next clip, but you have to realize I'm knocking on the door of 60 years old, so that first 20 years is really 1/3 of my life. I've spent far more time, I'll turn around here, far more time away from northern Wisconsin than I actually spent there, but I'll always kind of call that home in my heart. I've got a lot of good memories there. Again, I'll go into a bit more of that. But I've lived in a lot of places in my life, from, of course, northern Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin, Sabula, Iowa, which, by the way, I will do a segment about Sabula, Iowa in an upcoming video. It's a place that is near and dear to my heart. My most recent home in Wisconsin, My wife and I were there for 14 years, and it was great. I have no complaints. It was a great place to live, but I never felt like it was home. I never felt at home there. So again, take it for whatever it's worth. There's a couple of places, obviously, here in Lithuania I consider home. Some gray area there. Once I get into like Klaipėda or in anywhere else in Lithuania, it doesn't feel like home to me. It feels like I'm an American in a foreign country, but my little corner of the world, or my little village where I live, I truly do feel at home. So I'll watch for that. At the tail end of the video, I'll have some normal yard and garden updates. I did get some new molehills, unfortunately, and talk about things like weed trimmers. So if you guys aren't interested in that, you may want to just check out of the video after I'm done with whatever's interesting to you. But more to come. Thanks, everyone. So most of my viewers and subscribers know me personally and are familiar with northern Wisconsin, so this segment may not be all that interesting to those folks, although it may be a little bit nostalgic for you. But for the viewers and or subscribers that I have that aren't familiar with northern Wisconsin, that is where I was born and raised. Wonderful place, a lot of great memories, really a happy childhood. More specifically, I am from Rusk County, Wisconsin, and it's a pretty rural place. A dozen or so small villages, one bigger or main city, which is Ladysmith, and a few other towns somewhere in between, but pretty sparsely populated. Wonderful place, and as you can see from the map here, there's two main highways. There's an east-west highway called Highway 8, a north-south highway called Highway 27. They kind of meet right there in Ladysmith. I'm not all that familiar with anything west of Ladysmith. My main tromping grounds growing up was everything east of Ladysmith. And I mentioned the forests and lakes, and there are many, many lakes throughout Rusk County. Some of them aren't even named. There's so many, but the rivers, there's two main ones. Of course, the Flambeau is probably the one that comes to mind. Great river, kind of somewhat famous for its whitewater rafting and canoeing. More so the canoeing, but there's also the Chippewa River, and the Flambeau and Chippewa rivers actually meet a bit southwest of where I grew up. But beautiful place, great fishing, really not a lot of pollution, wonderful place. So in summary, Rusk County in northern Wisconsin, where I grew up, is definitely a wonderful place. A lot of great memories there. Great place to grow up. Always will be near and dear to my heart. And our asparagus and rhubarb and garlic continue to come up nicely, although we are going to have to cover that asparagus this weekend for the hard freeze. Coming up here, hopefully we'll get potatoes and carrots planted. I did manage to get that old Husqvarna running, and as I mentioned in the previous video or last week's video, it was the spark plug. It was just time to change it out, and it's running just fine now. And I had mentioned in my previous video that I used that old Husqvarna push mower to mainly cut outside the fence. I had mentioned it's a pretty wild area. I cut this whole road, a strip on each side, just to keep the weeds away from the main part of the road. I do a couple of strips on the outside of the fence here. That's some pretty wild and rough land there. And here along the road. And this is the main area out here that I do cut with that Husqvarna. I don't go all the way to where you see that tree line, but pretty much where my fence stops is where I stop. You can kind of see this is where that guy this past winter thought this was a road, and he drove his car down here, and of course he got stuck about halfway through, but more to come. So similar to my lawnmowers, I actually have two trimmers, each for kind of a different job. This smaller one is an Echo I bought in America and shipped here in a container. That little one is wonderful. It is definitely reliable, always starts, no problems, always run. Really happy with that. I use that mostly trimming around the fence. As you guys might remember, I've got a lot of fence, quite a few bushes, trees, a lot of area to trim. I generally do it with this Echo. There is no shoulder harness. I just kind of carry it. It's pretty light and maneuverable. This other one, this bigger one, is actually a Hyundai. Yeah, just like the car, Hyundai. Lot more power than the Echo. It's got the shoulder harness, a bit heavier. Works great for the big jobs if you really got a lot of brush you got to cut, etc. You can put the metal blade or the cutting blade on this one. I used to use it a lot. My wife actually used to own a property about 30 kilometers from here, which I took care of. I'm glad she finally sold it, because that was a really nasty job for me. Nowadays I use this a couple times a year if I'm going to do some big jobs somewhere outside the fence. But I'll make a comment about that here in just a second. For the first couple years I was here, I used that big trimmer to trim all of this, where you can see all this long brush all the way up to basically the edge of the swamp or the river or the pond. I stopped doing that, and here's why. There's a lot of wildflowers and such that grow in here, and I like to leave that stuff for the bees, mainly honeybees, but generally any pollinators, you know, butterflies, etc. So I kind of just let this go now, just to leave it for the pollinators. You guys might want to try the same. I'm not telling you guys what to do. I hate it when people tell me what to do, but if you've got a little strip of land or an area that you can kind of just let go, or even better, you can buy these big packs of wildflower seeds, usually $1 or $2. Just throw them out there. They're not all going to grow, but some will grow. And again, the bees, especially honeybees, need all the help they can get from us right now. Sorry guys, one other quick comment on this little Echo gas trimmer, which, as I said, has been great. I love it. But you know, that's not the future. You know, 5 years ago they had these cordless trimmers that you could run off of like a cordless drill battery, and they were kind of crap in my opinion at that point in time. The battery only lasted about 15 minutes and it took 4 hours to charge it back up. Well, nowadays they've really improved them. I think you can cut for nearly 4 hours and the battery takes 15 minutes to charge up. Not quite, but it's really changed a lot. So just for cutting inside the fence, etc., if and when I gotta get a new smaller trimmer, I think I'm gonna make the leap to cordless battery operated ones versus the gas operated ones. But that's just how I think. Again, if you guys are die-hard mixed gas trimmers, keep doing what you're doing. And this is a kind of a clever thing. Maybe they're doing this in America now, but I've never seen it till I got here to Europe. But it's this little attachment here on the deck of the mower. What it is you can hook your garden hose up to that and then fire the lawnmower up, and it cleans out all the grass and stuff from inside the underneath of the deck. It doesn't work perfectly, and the key is you got to do it right away. If you let it sit and get dry and set up, it doesn't work. But maybe they've got these in America. I had just never seen it till I got here to Lithuania.